biggest changes in my classroom, especially this last year, has been what homework looks like, how often and how frequently I assign it, and how it's used. So before, I feel like I gave a lot of homework, and now my homework is very intentional. If students have homework, it's for a very specific purpose, and it's not necessarily used as a grade, as something that will be used to be figured into their final grade for the quarter or semester, but it's used for practice and preparation. So for me, I have a totally different view of homework.
The element of getting rid of the average score, because up to now, a lot of times, a student did really poorly, get a low percentage that really affected the grade. It was really giving them a super zero or a super low grade, like you really, really failed on this one. And we don't show shades of failure. You either fail or you don't, in that case. So getting rid of that was another big factor in assessment changes.
One change that I've made is that I have been more flexible with due dates, and I've actually found that students have been better about turning their work in. I used to deduct points for late assignments, and sometimes I felt like students would get frustrated or lose motivation because they knew that they could only get a certain grade with the point deductions. But once I said that I would not take off points, I actually found that students turned in their work more frequently on time, and they were more motivated to finish. So I actually had more students completing the work than ever before.
I stopped taking homework, like those formative assessments, those kind of practice assignments. I stopped taking grades on those, and a couple of things came about. One, I noticed that it was a truer reflection of what the students knew and were able to do with the content versus me assigning them something for the first time. So I hope, and I think what the students have done is it's given them more comfort in taking a risk. So they're more willing to try a hard problem knowing that, hey, this isn't going to be for a grade. This is like a challenge problem. I can try and mess up, and I'm going to get another chance. So it's really given the students a little bit of freedom. What I've also kind of discovered in that is that the students that are going to do their assignments are going to do their assignments, and those students that struggle to do their assignments are always going to struggle to do their assignments, whether it's for a grade or not. And that to me has been very eye-opening, because that's always one of the arguments. It's like, well, if you make it for a grade, they're more likely to do it. And in reality, they're really not more likely to do it. Now, that comes with some education on the students' part. Like, we have to tell the students, like, this is why we're doing it. So it goes back to the purpose of the assessment. You really have to make sure and tell the students, like, this is why we're doing this assessment. Like, this is why we're doing this. Like, this is practice for this part, or we have to understand this before we can move on to something else. So really understanding the purpose of what you're giving the students will kind of open their eyes and educate them to be better students and to be better learners.
I think a big thing that I have done is homework looks very different for my class, and it's kind of a backwards planning piece. Homework is more of a preparation for discussion that we're going to do in class the next day. It's less of the practice at home, and we're doing more of the practice at school in class, so I am there to work with students on their practice. The other piece that goes along with that is the practice doesn't count anymore. It truly is practice, and I think the kids really appreciate that, because it gives them that opportunity to make mistakes and to get more help. And I think that as far as the impact goes, I think that is the big impact, because they feel more comfortable, they feel like they can make mistakes, and they have someone there to get help, compared to if they were doing that practice at home and then coming in the next day and being assessed on it right after they're learning the skill. So I really try to do practice 2 or 3 times before they're formally assessed on a topic.
Few changes. One would be no zeros in late work, kind of go hand in hand. I would say the no zeros in late work, when you put that in the grade book, you're not really assessing anything. You're assessing, okay, they haven't done it. but you have no idea about mastery, you have no idea where they are with the topic, the content. So it's really, there's no point with that. I mean, you're not assessing any knowledge at all what the student knows. So getting away from that and accepting that, okay, you know, we bring them in, they get their late work in, we take it any time, then we can assess their knowledge base and what they know, what their content level is, and mastery of that content. I think another big thing for me is retakes. I mentioned earlier that, you know, learning can take place throughout the unit. And so by offering retakes, kind of intrinsic motivation for a student wanting to master that topic, so giving them the ability to go back and really look at that topic, meet with me, have some individual sessions about what they were struggling with, what they can go back and learn, and then come back to me. And then if they show mastery, then I know where they are. So I would say no zeros, no late work, and given the ability to do retakes has really kind of influenced and impacted their overall learning for mastery.